Right, now welcome back to Tales from the PowerAge. How you doing, guys?
Hi, guys.
Good, mate.
Good to see you. Well, as you will have seen from the opening credits, we are taking some time out to remember on a Storyteller's Night from the mighty Magnum, which is a fitting tribute to Tony Clarkin. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through. Before we get into it, though, please give us a sub, give us some likes, get involved, ring the house bell. That really helps the algorithms, and we really appreciate your feedback. So, Magnum, if we think back to 1984, it's a turbulent time for the band. No record label, lineup changes, small tours, playing really small venues. And we're going to talk through the rebirth and the slow rebirth of the band, recording of the album on a Storyteller's Night, the chart success, the TV appearances on ECT, the Monsters of Rock appearance with Metallica, no less, and a full headline tour finishing with a headline show at Hammersmith Odeon. So this is a real rags to riches story, and I really hope you enjoy this one. So, Gav, shall we kick off with you?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, there's a lot of stuff to go through, guys, because I was fanatical at the time, so I was recording everything. All the guys also were getting into it, and we were going to all the gigs, and we'll show you the gigs shortly. But I used to write to Bob's mum, Ollie Catley, and at this period, I'm embarrassed to say I've got a letter every 5 or 6 weeks. So I've got a proper
about that, mate.
I've got a proper record of everything that was going on, and as Dill said, it was big changes going on. So I thought it was kind of weird because at this age, I was just old enough to go and see my favorite band for the first time. But when we finally got a chance to see them, everything was changing. There'd even been rumours that they were going to split up after Reading in '83, which was obviously devastating. But part of that rumour was to get out of the Jet record contract, and there was a few other things going on as well. So by the time we got to get to see them, there was rumours of all sorts of other changes. Mark Stanway was being courted by Phil Lynott for Grand Slam, so he was being pulled away. And if obviously the story of a lot of these members coming and going around this time is everybody had families or mortgages, or they had to earn, and Magnum weren't earning, so it was natural to assume that people were going to have to maybe not leave Magnum but go to other bands just to get the bills paid. And that was true of Mark, and it was also true of Kex. He went off to work with Roy Wood and did a few other things, and Robin George. So just putting it into the context really that things were very strange. We've put together a list of all the gigs we went to 84, 85 that were either Magnum or Magnum related, and it's a confusing time. So we're not going to go through these one by one, but I've highlighted in yellow the Magnum relations. We were lucky enough to see them way back in '84, but unlucky enough to miss Tony Clarkin because he was ill at the time. So Lawrence Archer of Grand Slam was deputising for him. So that, again, I was expecting to see all the stuff that I'd seen on every Magnum album cover, and suddenly I got Bob with a perm and no Tony Clarkin. So that was kind of odd. And then at subsequent gigs, we had Jim Simpson, Eddie George. We've got slides for all of this, so we can take you through it as we go. But it was very turbulent before we kind of solidified back again to the On a Storyteller's Night lineup that then went all the way from the Marquee to Hammersmith in 18 months, which was fantastic.
As far as I think everyone that's watching this will be aware, and Gav's massive knowledgeable man on Magnum. He loves Magnum. He was pulling us along. We were all at school together, and he's pulling us into this Magnum world. Gav went to every single one of these shows, and I went to some of them, and some of the other guys went to different ones. But my introduction to Magnum, Gav just sold them really, really well. So I went off early doors, went and bought Chase the Dragon. Great record. Well, I bought it on tape, bought an actual pre-recorded tape, so proper tape with the case, bought it, and I went to Gav. I said, Gav, never guess what I did at the weekend. He said, what? I said, got the Chase the Dragon tape. And he went, what? Where did you get that? I said, I got it from Our Price Records. He said, I haven't got that. I'll have to buy it off of you. How much did you pay? I said, yeah, but Gav, I'm getting into him. He said, yeah, but who's the big Magnum fan? I said, you are, Gav. He said, well, how much did you pay? I'll give you the exact amount. I said, I think it was £1.50 or something like that, Gav. Do you remember? So you relieved me of my first ever Magnum purchase.
Well, you actually sold it to him.
I had to. He's the biggest fan. He didn't have
He told you
it.
where to go.
You'd never seen it.
Did you buy it again, though? Did you buy it again, though, Jamo?
I got it on record a little while later. I've had it on record since then, but yeah, I happen to have the tape.
If it makes you feel better, I've still got it, Jam.
I know.
Hey.
Of course you have. But it was a great time, and Gav really did involve all of us in this world. So yeah.
So yeah, we'll take you through each tour as we've seen them. So the first one that we were lucky enough to see was the tail end of the 11th Hour tour. That's the tour program, which I've got here. Folds out into a big old poster.
Yeah, and an amazing tour map as well. I've never seen one. Never seen one since. It's absolutely brilliant.
Love a tour map.
Absolutely awesome.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, there you go.
There's young Robin George. So that's quite cool. I think that was must have been one of the biggest venues they played, because this was still when they were playing the Marquee. As you can see, the 3 Londons you've got down there, it's the Marquee Club.
And I'd completely forgotten that Bob Catley actually had brown hair.
Yeah. He looked really different.
Wow. You didn't think it was blonde, did you?
Yeah.
What, in real life?
Well, he's certainly been blonde in every other photo I've ever seen of him. Apart from the ones in the 70s.
The key thing about this was they were still playing quite a lot from 11th Hour, which I love. We all love, don't we? So I love the fact that I've seen songs like Road to Paradise and Young and Precious Souls. They carried on playing The Prize later on and Breakdown. You know, these are cracking songs. And, you know, dates it. They were playing songs off, this album way back then. But I've highlighted.
Well, that's actually amazing. So that was the first time that was my first ever gig, by the way, in February '84, and they played 2 songs off the next album.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Yeah. So they were obviously enthused already about what's coming, and they had there were no shame about doing some unknown songs already. You know, this is at least a year and a couple of months before the album comes out.
14, 15 months.
And I'm completely gobsmacked that I actually saw Invasion live. That's nuts.
Yeah. That was Mark Stanway's audition song. If you could play that, he's in.
Well, yeah. And that's proper keyboards in that one.
So
and
then
just Gav, before you move on, the price of the ticket, $3.50 in advance, £4 on the door. Brilliant. But that wasn't unlike the similar prices to the Oxford Apollo at the time. So
that's about right.
Even though it was a small venue, they were still confident enough to charge prices, so that because they knew, I'm guessing, that they were going to get the audience.
But it was a great venue because it was just a hall, so there was no circle, no balcony.
Yeah,
it was just everyone was on the floor.
Yeah. I got ticket number 31, apparently.
Well, I must have had number 32 then.
Yeah. But they played St Albans and Dunstable alone, didn't they?
Yeah,
Much
they
more
did,
than Oxford, and we had to travel for these gigs. So again, thanks to our parents,
Absolutely,
hoofing us over to these strange towns. But yeah, so it was anything particular about this one? I know that we saw Lawrence, didn't we? And the lineup was kind of different from what we expected.
Well, I've got a strange memory from this one because it was my first ever gig at the Queensway Hall, and I remember us walking in literally to my first ever gig, and I didn't know what to expect, and we walked in. We got there really early, so we were right down the front straight away. But I'll never forget it. There was a guy sat on the stage, and his mate actually gobbed in his mouth, and I've never seen anything like it before, and I've never seen anything like it since.
Thank God.
And I thought, Jesus Christ, is this what I'm in for? Watching this stuff? And I thought it was very, very strange. Never ever forget it.
Ruffians of Dunstable.
Absolutely.
So then the next tour was the winter tour, and again, couple of lineup changes. Kex had gone, probably to tour with Robin George. And
they got Jim Simpson in from Kajagoogoo.
yeah, a youngster compared with the rest of them. And
He wasn't from
Eddie
Kajagoogoo,
George,
by the way, people. He just looked like he was.
yeah. Eddie George deputising as a temporary at this point for Mark Stanway. And we actually met him. We must have met him beforehand because we got him to sign this little piece of paper saying, "Let the guys through," so that we could go and see him backstage. And I've kept that. And that's what that is. It says, "Please let the lads through or contact me, Eddie George, Magnum." So that was cool.
Where did he come from, Gav? Any idea?
I don't remember actually. It wasn't. He didn't come from a big band or anything. Spent much of his career traveling worldwide, session musician, predominantly in Australia.
All right.
Yeah. So there's a little page on the new boys. Yeah. In this program, which is quite small, but kind of weird as well. Anyway, so that's that. The set list for this tour was starting to progress much more into the forthcoming set list. So again, 6 months before the album was out, we've got six
songs off it.
Yeah.
Mental.
That's my childish crayoning from when I got home. Tried to remember all the songs. But yeah, that's quite amazing, and it really shows you what they thought about the new songs, which is pretty cool. And then we started to get a taste for the fact they're coming back onto vinyl. So they got a deal with FM Records based in the Midlands, and they were starting to talk about singles. And obviously the letters from Ollie were saying they're in the studio and they're doing demos, and and it was all starting to ramp up, and they're all really excited about it. So the first out of the gates was Just Like an Arrow with 2 hearts on the B-side. There she is. We were actually on some school trip, weren't we?
Yeah, a bit of a story about that one. We were actually at Paynton in Devon.
Yeah,
it was our geography field trip, and we went to a record store in Paynton, and I borrowed that from them, and never given it back, as it happens.
Say that.
Quite naughty.
It was.
I purchased mine, obviously.
Did you?
Yeah,
I purchased mine as well.
Yeah, it's down there. Yeah, I purchased mine. I thought it was immense. I just so loved that track. It was brilliant.
Yeah,
I love it. I always loved 2 hearts. Really brilliant. So yeah, how many of us bought it? There were several of us bought it.
Yeah, I think Shane bought it.
Shane would have bought it as well. Definitely.
Maybe Gary.
Barnsley would have bought it.
Yeah. So I had a little rush in Devon of sales.
So I mean,
for some reason.
Totally different from the album version, though, folks.
Yeah, I think this was kind of one up from the demo, because it was
because it says it's produced by Magnum on the back.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly.
So this came out. I was looking at this. This came out in the March. It spent 3 weeks in the charts. It peaked at 83, number 83. So I guess back in those days, they didn't have that particular shop in Paynton, because it would have been in the top 10, I'm sure.
Well, some shops aren't chart.
Maybe you might have got to 82 instead.
Maybe got disqualified for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It opened up at 90, then it went up to 83, then hit 85 before dropping out the top 100.
Oh God!
I mean, that's just shocking. It should have been a big hit, but yeah,
it should have been a massive hit.
The other thing you mentioned, FM Records. It was just for that one record deal. Really interesting, Gav.
Yeah. Well, they went back and bought all the catalogue, so all the albums came out on FM. A year or so after this. But yeah, it's the only new album. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Because they got picked up by Polydor in Germany.
Yeah.
Which is what Vigilante's on, isn't it?
Yeah.
That happened at Donington, but we can talk about that when we get to Donington.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So first tour.
So this is when we start. The single's out. The album isn't out yet, but they're starting to do a tour again. So this time
they've still played most of the songs off the album already.
Yeah. So I remember knowing a couple of them. I remember knowing 2 Hearts and Just Like an Arrow.
Yeah. 2 Hearts is easy, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's one of those. Well, it's the best song on the album for me.
But I couldn't believe they were doing double page spreads in Kerrang. My little band. So fair play to FM, for coughing up some money. FM
That's what
records, it is.
surprised me when you're looking at this and you see there's been a 2-year gap from 11th Hour through to the release of Honest Storytellers. The fact that then when you've been digging all this out, the coverage they got, and they really went for it. They really went for it, and the promoter to get them all the. I mean, obviously, I guess the promoter lived in Dunstable, but to get them, to be promoting them across the board, across the UK, really good job.
Yeah. Well, I think they had a new manager as well, which was new record company, new manager, great songs. Things were starting to look good.
Yeah.
There are various ways of spelling Storytellers, so don't give us grief. I've put what I consider to be the right way, but there's 2 words, Storytellers, and the Storytellers without the apostrophe and with the apostrophe, and it doesn't matter. So so from the demo version kind of thing of Just Like an Arrow to getting a proper named producer in, and Kit Wolven has been with quite a few bands we like, actually, especially Thin Lizzy.
Really?
And Phil Lynott solo stuff. So he's got a massively strong track record, and I think it's a good choice. I mean, it's a very distinctive sound he's got on the album. So they're the boys
on the album. Brilliant.
Is that DEP Studios in Birmingham? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it says in the program. But then the record says Abattoir.
Right.
And they could be one and the same. But yeah, I don't know whether they are the same. I know Abattoir used to be the UB40 studio, owned by them, and they thank UB40 on the back credits as well. So it could be the same thing. Yeah. So that's the album coming out. So now things are starting to come together. They needed a sleeve, and who better to call on than the classic artist that is Rodney Matthews. I've known Rodney and his wife Sarah for many years. So when we decided to do this tribute stroke Storytellers episode, I wrote to them and said, have you got any memories you'd like to share with our audience? And anything that you could put pen to paper would be really cool, so that we can have a little exclusive from you. And being the lovely people that they are, they pulled together a couple of paragraphs for us to talk about on the show. So we've got an exclusive from Rodney in his own words, voiced here by my good lady's dad. None of us wanted to drone on, so we thought we'd get someone who's quite theatrical to read it. So this isn't
how cool does he look in that t-shirt? I mean, who's that? That t-shirt. Who's that?
What a dude! It's a band called World Gone Crazy that they used to have an incredible.
Who are they?
Yeah. So sit back, and I'll show you guys the video.
It has been a privilege over the years for me to bring the ideas and visions of the late Tony Clarkin into pictorial form for use on the Magnum album covers. None more satisfying than on A Storyteller's Night, my 3rd Magnum collaboration. The image was commissioned by Paul Birch, head of HMFM Records UK, while the Clarkin art direction was a little more brief than most subsequent artworks. He said, I want a geezer with his back to us, telling a fearful tale to a number of listeners in atmospheric surroundings. Well, of course, this is not a direct quote. It set me contemplating. My first thought was something like, this could be rather boring, until the time period and setting popped into my mind, opening up a whole different possibility. A medieval pub with not people but goblins in a Dark Ages time period. The wheels began to turn. How about a fireplace that resembles a face with an open mouth and little alcoves for eyes? Hanging mugs and burning logs for teeth. The cloaked storyteller at the head of the table with his stick and travel bag. It all began to fall into place. My border collie Patch, lying beneath the table, is the only one present to be aware of the periphery goings on of the mischievous little sprites. The atmosphere is building in my mind's eye. The storyteller's face momentarily turns into a skull as he delivers the punchline. That's the moment of the snapshot. At one time I thought to illustrate the scene again, but from the reverse angle, so as to capture the event. That's not going to happen, so don't ask. I might just add a few well-documented facts. The pub interior is very loosely based upon the Georgian at Norton St Philip, dating from the 13th century and infamous for the activities of the merciless hanging Judge Jeffreys. The illustration was required yesterday and was completed in 10 days. The album tracks listed include some of Magnum's best loved and enduring songs, still performed live up until the tragic passing of the master storyteller, Tony Clarkin.
So there you have it.
Very good.
Absolutely brilliant.
Thanks, Rodney and Sarah. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So there it is in its glory. First time we'd seen this logo as well, apart from on the single.
Yep.
But never as a piece of artwork suited the band or the music better than this, in my opinion. You know, especially the song itself, it just completely takes you there, and you know, it's all you need. And obviously with the 12-inch vinyl in front of you, listening to the record like the good old days, just fantastic.
It's only the second time they'd used the title track on the album as well, isn't it? Kingdom of Madness.
Yeah.
Magnum 2, Chase the Dragon, which had nothing to do with any track on the album, really.
No, yeah, good point. Yeah.
But having those two album covers there either side of the fire, I just used to just loved it.
Yeah,
That's
and the actual detail he's put into them as well on that cover.
Yeah,
if you zoom in on it, the detail is amazing.
Yeah,
fantastic.
The dog with his eye open.
You could look at that forever, couldn't you? And you know, something I never knew, you know, from that little snippet from Rodney, was I didn't know that he imagined that when he was telling this story that the storyteller's face turned to a skull. That's really cool. I didn't, you know, and that's why they don't.
No, I don't think any of us knew that.
Yeah, that's where we got an exclusive, boys.
Yep. I do love how he said he needed it needed to be for yesterday. I love that.
Yeah.
Always the case, I think, with Magnum.
Yeah,
with any record company, I suppose.
Wow, 10 days from start to finish. That's pretty phenomenal.
That's incredible, yeah.
And the pub that was in the clip, Gav, was that a Wadworth pub?
It said that on the sign, yeah.
Yeah, so interestingly, Wadworth's beer back in the day, which we all used to drink, was 4X.
6X.
Oh,
One of the greatest beers ever.
Yeah, 6X. I was thinking 4X. That was Castlemaine. You're right, 6X.
The X's on there, aren't there?
Yeah, there are X's on there. But
yeah, that's cool. Yeah. So we, you know, the songs speak for themselves. I don't think we necessarily need to go through them, but any particular favourites, boys?
Doesn't side one just smash your face in? I mean, I'm sorry, but we were into a lot of different stuff. But I just remember, I struggled to get away from side one because it was so strong. When this came out, it felt like we knew it, which wasn't the case because, of course, we all know you didn't get drip-fed songs on YouTube or anything like that. So an album came out. Often you might have had one single, which we would have bought for any record at this time. But we'd been watching these songs live. So, I mean, Gav, you've seen these umpteen times.
We'd seen six of these songs before we'd seen live.
And we'd seen them more than once. We'd seen them several times. So it was quite familiar. But when it actually came together in a proper album with the start to finish, it was quite something. And that side one for me was superb. But as I think, Gaps, as you said, I love Two Hearts, which always ensured.
I love side two. I think side two is
make sure. I think Two Hearts of the Doors dragged me across, and then it does end with the most amazing, most beautiful The Last Dance. You know, to bring the curtain
down.
That's
a ballad though, Jam. You don't like ballads?
No, definitely not.
But you like that one?
No, in the settings of the album, it's a perfect curtain. I think
a good closer. Yeah,
it's a great closer for an album like this. It really does. It's quite something if you ever listen to that. That's just my overall thoughts on the album.
And we really like the drumming and the drum sound. So
and there's some awesome cowbell on Steal Your Heart. You know, me and Gav, you know, we love cowbells, and we all love cowbell, but
we all love cowbell,
especially me and Gav. But I think Steal Your Heart is the only song that they didn't do live off this entire album. Certainly in this period, they may have done it later on, but certainly not in this period, which is a shame, really, because it's a really good song.
I like Before First Light as well. That's a good rocker.
Oh, it's amazing. I love Before First Light.
And it does sound like a band playing as well, which maybe we lost a little with some of the subsequent albums. But, you know, you certainly get an idea that they're all kind of driving the same riff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a particular memory for me when they used to do Le Mort Dansant, because it was French and we were this age. It was like, oh, it felt quite mature to be singing along, and it's got such a build on that track. For
the lyrics in that song are amazing.
The lyrics are fantastic, aren't they?
And musically it builds and builds. And for as I spoke about bringing the album down with Last Dance, the first side, to the way it comes through Le Mort Dansant, it's just superb. It's so well balanced. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
And just like an arrow really stands out as a hit record, right?
Should have been, without a doubt.
But it just really stands out. And I was lucky enough to see Magnum 6 years ago, Rambling Man, and it was quite sort of lastminute.com that ended up going, and it was a nice sunny afternoon, and just listening to these hits, Just Like an Arrow, How Far Jerusalem, on a Storyteller's Night, it was brilliant. It was absolutely fantastic. So yeah, really good to think back to those days as well. And for me, this is their best album in my mind.
I think it's the most Magnum album. Yeah, where it's completely cohesive, start to finish, and with the packaging and everything. It's
and the production.
Yeah, and just the sweet spot in our lives as well. You know, we'd gone through the turmoil of seeing all these different lineups, and then bang, they delivered on their promises. It's absolutely brilliant.
Totally delivered.
Couldn't have been more chuffed.
No,
they came through.
And for them, you've got to believe that. I mean, pretty much Last Chance Saloon. Where would they go if this hadn't have been as epic as it?
Yeah, I don't think they'd have made it. Right. I don't think they'd have made it through if this album hadn't been as good as it was.
No, you're right.
I've got a few I can show. I'll keep it quick. If you wanna, let me big us up. There we go. Well, we've covered on a previous pod that Dill donated a very nice.
We can all do that.
What is that?
Oh yeah, go on.
Is that the one with the
It's got a limited edition there.
Yeah,
with the single.
Well, I had to replace it because I gave Gav my copy.
Yeah, your copy's here.
He insist.
Well,
Signed.
you know, I gave it for one of his birthdays. It's all fully signed.
And I've got Rock and Roll Story. If you haven't heard, it's Dill was throwing a little soiree, and he had this on the deck, and got loads of Jack Daniels spilt all over it from a certain Tiger Tales singer called Stevie James.
He was ex-Tiger Tales at the time, and I think we'd been in that very studio that we saw a couple of slides earlier.
Oh, really?
Recorded. So I was at the recording studio in the afternoon, and then we came back for a bit of we'd been to Excel's nightclub in the evening, and then came back for a bit of a party. And
so was he recording a solo album?
Yeah, he was recording the 12-inch. I can't remember. It was his first 12-inch. Can't think what it. Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, was it? I think.
Right.
Something like that. Anyway.
Oh, nice. I didn't know
we all
that.
came back, and there was Jack Daniels flowing, and Magnum on the turntable. You'd be glad to know, and a good amount of that Jack Daniels ended up on the back of the record.
Nicely signed that with the silver pen. That's better than the one I've got, but I've got the picture disc with a different back, which is much better, because the back of the original album is pretty horrible. You can't read it. If you're trying to read the lyrics, you're going to go boss side because it's the print colour's so weird.
Yeah.
So there's this.
Yeah, but I always like that about it because it had this, because Chase the Dragon had the lyrics on the back of the album rather than on the inner sleeve.
Yeah. So that's just a kind of commemorative 100,000 copy job with the cover on the back, and then we've got a double album version of it.
Ooh, that's pretty. I like that.
Red vinyl.
That's what I always imagined it should have been.
Yeah, it could have been.
Yes.
And there's a different label version. The original label.
Love that label.
And we've got my signed version, which has got Mickey Barker on it, and Wally Lowe and Bob and Tony and Mark. And then there's a poster version. So this was a later, there's a hype sticker there. So you get a poster. And damn, this was what I was on about. They've got the all the other ones re-released with Rodney Matthew's art.
Yep.
They're all, I mean, that was brilliant. What a great idea from FM to do that.
Yeah.
Even re-sleeving the first couple of albums, which were pretty rubbish.
Were they re-released on to vinyl then, or just?
Yeah.
Okay.
They did a vinyl and a CD box set called Foundation.
Oh, cool.
Which I actually won when I was doing a little bit of work for them.
Okay.
Boom.
And then that, which is the yellow. There are loads of versions. I mean, to be fair to them, again, as an indie, they reacted really quickly. Dill's got a version where they had a free 7-inch, which I haven't got. Yeah, I've got the 7-inch, but I haven't got that version. But there's all kinds of other colours as well.
Yeah, interesting.
And finally, there's a German version.
Yeah.
It says pack 1.
I like that picture on the back. That's good.
Yeah. Poor old Jim gets left out. But we haven't mentioned also that Mark's wife sang on Le Mans Dansant.
Yes. Yeah, I should have said.
I didn't realise he'd been married that long, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they've just had an anniversary. They've been together years.
Forever.
Yeah. So, yeah, there you go. We've covered the formats. There were some reviews as well, and they were quite contrasting as well. Sounds Stefan decided to give it a 3-star and basically didn't like it very much. But our old mate Derek Oliver gave it 4.5 and a glowing review. So,
but sounds were trying to distance from
rock,
that rock type scene at the time, weren't they? They were trying
because of Kerrang.
Yeah, that's
and,
right.
and then naturally, the people that were into rock in sounds moved to Kerrang, didn't they?
Yeah.
Jeff Barton, Malcolm Dole, and all those guys. So makes sense.
That's
you
almost,
guys can pause that and read it at your leisure.
Yeah, that's almost not a surprise when you think that it sounds as dishing out 3s, because we used to get quite. Well, we were that age, weren't we? We were 14, 15. We'd get quite animated, wouldn't we, at school when we should have been doing the learning thing. We'd be perusing over sounds or Kerrang. What's going on with this? Well, how can they do that? 3 stars. You probably wrote to them, Gav, did you?
I did. Well, I wrote to them about Robin George.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen that recently. I don't know what I've done with that, but I've got a photo of it, I'm sure. Anyway, that's for another show.
Yeah, another show.
So, yeah, this is another tour. So this is the actual tour to promote the album. And getting bigger. We've gone from the Marquee to the Dominion now in London, if you just kind of judge them on that, which is fantastic. It's a lovely theatre. That's where We Will Rock You was for many years. And unbeknownst to me at the time, because I'd have tried to make it, they shot a video in Camden during this tour. So that wasn't a part of a tour date. It was a part of a ongoing TV show, I think, called Live in London. But yeah, nestled into this tour, they did a Camden show, which was kind of, I only found that out when I did the research for this.
Camden Palace.
Yeah, which is now Coco.
Yeah.
Jill, you're a Kent native these days. Is Tunbridge Wells Assembly Halls still a thing or not?
I don't know.
There's nothing else in Kent, is there? That's it.
Well, you've got the Forum in Tunbridge Wells, where I've been to a couple of shows, and of course you've got Dover and the pub in Gravesend.
Yeah,
I think it was interesting about that, though, the video. 20 quid for that video. That was a lot of money then, you know.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, damn right.
An album would have been 8 quid or something.
Yeah.
Been less than that.
Around the 6.49 mark.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Videos. It was at this time, 83, 84, 85. That was when they were first coming out, and that was the standard price, 19.99. I remember buying my Saxon one. Yeah, we had to pay £7 each, my brothers. But that was a big outlay. No, it was a big outlay. 20 quid, but superb, because they had to straight into your front room.
That's come out in so many different formats. That was the original sleeve for it, but there's been about 3 or 4 versions of that.
Christ, they even played on the Isle of Man. That's mental.
It's a decent tour. I mean, Cornwall, fair play to them. But, things were starting to pick up now with press ads.
Yeah.
It's all good stuff. This was the program. Managed to meet him on that one as well. So I've got that little puppy here with some signed stuff in the middle as well.
Right. So so Jim Simpson went to UFO and Mickey Barker came in.
Yeah, because he was still in the program. Look, young Jim. So if you think in the context of what we always mention on this show, ECT. We've got a slide on that in a minute, but he was on the first showing, which was Jan. and then he wasn't in the second showing, which was June, July. But anyway, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
So Mickey Barker was just going to be a temp initially. So on this tour, it was just introducing. So this was the On the Storytellers Night official tour. And this was the track list. I haven't bothered highlighting them from now on because there's loads of them. It's very much Storytellers orientated set list, as you can see.
Yeah.
8 songs off the album,
which is great. That was my Dominion ticket. It's not normally got that stupid colour on it. It's just because I had it in a frame and it's been...
Oh, right.
So it's normally blue.
We saw Cinderella there as well, didn't we, the Dominion?
Yeah. I remember it being a great venue. Good sound, a little bit like Shepherd's Bush Empire.
Yeah, we loved it there.
And it was a big venue, though. It's a big theatre, so I think they struggled because it's a West End theatre. They tried to get gigs in there to actually in between. It had seats, didn't it, downstairs?
Yeah,
all the time. Which made
I don't know how many bands played there in this period, but when we saw 2.
It was the first time I'd been there, and for this gig, apparently Bob Catley on stage said that they were going to record this for a live album, which unfortunately didn't happen.
Yeah, because you wrote that down, didn't you?
Yeah, it was in my diary, so he must have said it.
And we haven't told the story of the Mark Stanley towels, have we?
No, that was back in the year. We'd met Mark Stanley a load of times, and in the previous one to this, the February, that was the 3rd time we met Mark Stanley, and every time we saw him, we got his towel and we had to split it. We had to cut it up into 3 or 4 bits to get a bit each.
Bless him, he started recognising us because we went. He picked us out.
He was a good lad.
But yeah, we used to tear them up so that we all had a bit each, which was completely pointless in the end.
But one of those, I remember one of those early ones that I know it's out of sync, but one of those early ones at Dunstable. It's the only time at the end of the gig we stood there, and then we actually, it was early on the list of these dates. We actually got up on the stage to walk through to go backstage. I'd never had that before. We were such
that's right. It's exactly what we did. Yeah.
Where do we go for backstage? And they saying, "Well, what?" And they said, "Well, because and we just literally climbed up onto the stage, walked through to the backstage area, and then they were all just there, like just chilling. And we were like, "Wow, look, we're behind." Amazing moments.
Yeah, that was cool.
Totally brilliant.
And we all had our Magnum t-shirts on when we went to see Grand Slam.
Yeah.
Which you can check out a story on that on another pod.
But how amazing to literally play 8 tracks out of 10 off the new record, and then three hits, if you want to call them that, but 3 superb greatest hit songs. To just do 8 in a row shows how confident they were and how happy the crowd were with the.
I don't remember coming away going, "Oh, I wish they'd done."
No,
I was quite happy with this lot.
Yeah, really different.
It's the new dawn, wasn't it?
Apart from the fact we never saw The Teacher live.
Yeah, I don't think they played it much or at all. Yeah. Or Great Disaster would have been good.
Yeah.
So some reviews there, and you've got we've got Roger Holland. I think that looks like it could be Sounds, and the other one would be Kerrang.
Multi-story visit the very worst of guitar heroics. Oh, dear.
A man who had a multi-story T-shirt.
Indeed, yeah. They were brilliant the first time we saw them.
They were the best. I think if I remember at the time, weren't they the best support band you'd ever seen?
Probably.
And the T-shirt, if you remember, was that
Genesis
logo. Apologisms.
What a great word that is.
I had that T-shirt. It was grey with just that.
Yeah, I had that. That's one I bought as well. Yeah.
For the life of me, I can't find one online.
You used to wear that all the time, Gav.
Yeah.
I had the sleeveless version. Did you have the sleeveless version or not? Yes, you had the baseball shirt.
Yeah. Ah, I wish. And then, the aforementioned ECT. So Magnum were the only band to appear twice.
Yeah.
On the first show and the last show, and another unique thing about them was they had different drummers for both. So we had Jim at the beginning of the run, and very early Mickey at the end. Bob had some mic problems on the second episode. Bless him. It just didn't work, and he was on this little
riser thing.
Chicken? No, what's it called? Cherry picker.
Cherry picker.
Yeah. His mic wasn't working, so Mark was having to fill in with loads of extra keyboard. But they handled it like the troopers they are.
Yeah.
But yeah, we loved that show. We were glued to
And
TV.
then it's gutting because we were obviously waiting for Magnum. It's like, oh, the mic's not working. What's going on? What's going on? And it's like, oh, it's like, you're like embarrassed from thinking, no.
Yeah.
And then it come in. But yeah.
You can find all this on YouTube. So if you type in ECT Magnum, and you'll get a whole string of bands that are played. I watched this, was it last night, I think. I watched this, and then Trash came on straight after. I really loved that performance, that band from Sweden. So
we were well into them, weren't we?
Performances on that show, really good.
Yeah.
Does anyone know where it was actually filmed?
Yeah, Wembley. I looked that up yesterday. Wembley Studio, because I thought, why weren't we there?
Exactly, that's exactly what I thought. I was talking to Paula about it on Saturday and wondering where on earth it was filmed and why on earth, how on earth these people got a chance to see these bands.
I always thought
it was never advertised previously, so how did these people get on there?
Well, I always
the audience. I mean,
I always thought it was filmed. I don't know why. I always thought it was filmed in Newcastle, where the Tube was.
That's what he said.
Filmed.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said.
When I looked yesterday. I mean, please tell us if I'm wrong in the comments. But apparently, it's filmed in Wembley.
Well, if you've kept a close eye on Kerrang Gaps, they're offering tickets on that little thing there. Send an SAE.
There you go. It was advertised, and I didn't look at that version of Kerrang.
Yeah, how old were we then? We probably couldn't read at that point.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't read the small print.
No.
But a little old Gav was there with his scissors, cutting it out for his archives. If anybody's wondering where I'm getting all this shit from.
I like how you say little Gav was doing that, like big Gav never did anything like that.
And do you know what? It says Hannah Rocks never played it, though, did they? Because I'm guessing that was around the time that Russell must have died, so they never played it.
No, this was in advance, wasn't it?
Yeah,
so
Well,
things got changed about. It certainly wouldn't have hurt to have 4 songs live on Channel 4 on a Friday night, you know.
And especially being on the last show, because everyone knew about it by then. You know, by the 10th. It was only run a 10 or was it 10 or so? It wasn't.
Yeah.
There he is, the man with the loosest top and the tightest jeans.
So yeah, they went further up the scale by getting themselves last minute onto the Donington Monsters of Rock 85 lineup.
Yeah, with a ridiculous logo.
Well, yeah, it was so low down they couldn't afford a logo.
But
this will always go down in why the hell didn't we go?
Yeah,
we went to Nebworth instead in June. So don't think I could afford another festival.
Some of my favourite bands are on there, for God's sake.
Decided to go to the one that was hoofing it down with rain instead of the Sun Beauty, and also Metallica playing Ride the Lightning. I know.
Exactly. It's a bit mad.
Shut up, Dill. No, that would have been amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And Rat.
At the time, it was considered, and at the time there was lots of mumblings about the quality and the heaviness of the lineup. How did Magnum get on this? I'm so impressed that they got put on it. Is there anything behind that?
Probably on the record sales, you know, because by the time the decisions were being made, it was probably flying high in the charts, the album.
I think they timed it really. Obviously, they were in the right place, right time to sneak in there on that bill. Was just superb.
They weren't. I mean, it's quite hard to find a poster with them on, so that's why I think they were last minute.
Got 9 songs as well. Was the opening.
Yeah, they got a long set. Yeah.
Really good. And to put it in context, Motley Crue opened the year before.
Yeah.
So you know, it's a big slot, massive.
I think some mud was flown around, judging by old Bob's.
It makes you wonder, as you say there, as far as they had 5 bands, it makes you wonder, are they thinking, right, we're good, and then they're suddenly thinking, right, okay, maybe we're not so good, let's get someone else in, let's sell a few more tickets. Magnum are doing well, let's get them in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Get some more something else British as
They've
well.
Definitely been on the rock radar, wouldn't they?
Yeah, something British. You've got Marillion, but otherwise we've got a very American feel there going on.
Promoters would be looking at the dates they do, and to go from the Marquee to the Dominion, you know, and have a chart hit. Then you know, little did they know they were going to be doing Hammersmith Odeon in the same year. But yeah, good for them. And then that was a lifelong regret that I didn't go, and I can't remember why.
Ditto.
But it was Nebworth. That was why.
And the other thing aforementioned, this was a big gig for Magnum because they knew that Polydor Germany were watching from the wings. they hadn't nailed the gig, the proper deal as yet. They said they'd come and watch them from the side of the stage at Donington, and they signed the deal almost there and then, as far as I can tell. There was an interview with Tony Clarkin saying they were extra nervous because it was make or break whether they got the international Polydor deal based on their performance. So,
and it's weird that they put well, L'Amour Dansant is a ballad, but then they've got a total ballad. The next song,
yeah,
Lights Burned Out, then finish with 3 real stompers. Although Sacred Hour it could be described as a ballad.
Yeah, I'd have probably got rid of Lights Burned Out if I was there.
Yeah, but they play that all the time though.
Mm.
However,
in this period,
I am glad that they had the sense to actually think, "Hey, we won't do," because at this point they're doing most of their set is the new album, but they actually sought the prize, which I love the prizes.
Yeah,
always been your favourite, isn't it?
I love the prize along with the teacher.
Yeah.
The prize and changes for the guys that are going to know Magnum going back a bit that are at this. They've actually interspersed some well-known tracks, so I think that's pretty wise. They did well. I think they did well.
Yeah, it's a good set list.
Yeah. Really
if you look at the bottom right-hand picture as well, don't you just love the backdrop of those old Monsters of Rock?
Just the sky.
Yeah, just the sky. Yeah, it's brilliant.
No expense spared.
And Tony Clarkin.
No expense. That's all used.
Tony Clarkin really, really thin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh.
With his hair tied back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next up, very similar looking, but another tour. I mean, God, the road work they did back then.
Yeah.
So this is the one with the kind of grid look to it, which I thought was super cool at the time. And then the program had pictures from, I was thinking, where have they, I've got the stain of the autograph there. I was thinking, where, how come I haven't seen them in this particular desert or quarry or whatever? And I'd learned later it was the
it's probably the same building site Motorhead used for Ace of Spades.
Yeah, it was just like an Arrow. It was just like an Arrow re-release video that they'd shot. So, and obviously we didn't see the videos back in the day, did we? So that's where they got the stills from that look really cool.
No, you couldn't go on YouTube and watch them.
No, and I didn't know that. I was thinking I was missing out on something. What's going on? Anyway, that was the way it was back in the day.
Mm.
But yeah, I got the autographs on that tour as well. And then actually went to St Albans to review it. Our old mate Derek Oliver gave him a blinding review. And this is where you can see they're starting to get a bit of a stage show going on.
Yes.
They're getting some custom ramps and things, and it was very kind of similar to what they did with the Vigilante tour, where everything was white. Which
don't remember Mickey Barker having the double bass drum kit though.
Yeah, very cool.
But no double bass drumming ever.
Yeah.
When?
Well, on this tour maybe not, but he did on Backstreet Kid and a few other songs.
Oh, later on.
Later on, yeah.
Okay.
It's probably because he was endorsed by Yamaha. I just wanted to show off.
Yeah.
I would. And then there's a set list for this tour. So this one is the Hammersmith tour. So the boys had made it. The boys had gone from the Marquee to Hammersmith. I'm only talking about London. Sorry, everybody else, but you get the picture.
But only played 11 songs.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Only 11. Similar to Dio. I think he did a similar amount in that year as well when we saw him.
And there's no real long ones there. I mean, How Far Jerusalem and Storytellers are quite long, but the rest of them really quite short. Sacred Hour's quite long, isn't it?
Soldier would be long with the intro and stuff.
Yes. And L'Amour Dansant isn't.
But it's still a great set list.
Yeah, that is a great set list, yeah.
Mm. I mean, just to wrap up on the sorry, Gab, on a Storyteller's night, just to wrap up at chart position wise, we didn't mention it, but it actually hit it managed number 24 in the UK. So I think it was a bit of a slow burner because I know a lot of people that have got this, and it made a big difference across the board. And it sold its units, didn't it? It did the 100,000 plus. It sold a lot of records.
Yeah.
But the fact they toured it they did such a tour through the whole year. I think it literally just was really, really steady and picked up. So they didn't get the extra coverage from going high in the album charts, but they really did knock the units out. So I was quite surprised when I was doing my research and seeing that the highest it got was 24. It seems a bit cruel to me that such a great record kicking in, but this certainly sets the scene, doesn't it, for the future?
So after all that fun and all that growth, what they needed was a major record company, which they got. So it was a time to move to the next level with a bit of European push.
Yeah, divisive cover.
Rodney Matthews did try out for this cover, but they rejected it in favour of this one, and it was still pink and
I'd
similar.
love to see what he did though that they rejected. Wouldn't that be amazing? Oh, you've got it.
Yeah, I'll drop it in.
Yeah,
please.
But yeah, I mean,
and then change the logo to a really 80s logo,
really kind of modernist logo. Yeah, but up in the world, because they didn't record it in the UK, they recorded it with in Queen's studio with Roger Taylor.
That's right.
As producer, and it suddenly went really 80s in the drums and the the kind of pseudo samples and things like that. But the songs were still fantastic.
Vigilante is probably my favourite Magnum song of all time. To be fair,
I love that song.
I like the record.
Absolutely awesome.
It's a good record.
I like the record as well. Yeah, and I can imagine if you played it to someone now, it would just be terribly 80s and you couldn't get over it, but because we grew up with it, we kind of don't hear that so much. But yeah, there's some songs on there that are crackers, including Backstreet Kid. I love it.
I think Storyteller's age better, in my opinion.
No, I agree
for all the reasons you just said.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are some good stuff. We know it'd be great if they maybe had a re-record of that a few years later, wouldn't it? And
well, word on the street is that Magnum, namely the Clarkin family, have got the rights to the first 10 albums. So we wait with bated breath as to what's going to happen. But it's fantastic if we can, if they can get another, lease of life, because their catalogue has been boozed over time. We've got Jet have done a million different compilations, and they've been sold to Sanctuary and gone everywhere. And then different companies have had different rights, and it's never been very coherent. So it's a re-release or a remix is overdue. I'm not sure we'll get a remix, but yeah, it'd be great. It'd be great to have them back on the shelves.
Okay, brilliant. Well, look, that was Magnum on a Storyteller's Night. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you enjoyed the memories that the boys were sharing today, particularly Gav. I know it's they're a real love for you, and just brilliant to see all the stuff that you've got and the connections you've got with the band as well. So if you love Magnum, or if you know someone that loves Magnum, please get them to watch this podcast, because I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. We've got a video from, I think, just over a year ago, which Gav took, which was Tony's last ever gig with the band at KK Steel Mill. So Steel Mill, I should say. So check that out. Lots of other stuff on there too, like Quo's last gig and various other bands that we get out and see, Priest, Saxon, etc. That's a separate channel, so please subscribe to both. If you want to get in contact with us, you can on Facebook on Tales from the PowerAge, or on X on Tales from the PowerAge at TTFTPR, on Blue Sky on TTFTPA. Blue Sky Pushers getting all a bit confusing.
Just read it.
Yeah.
Get involved in that, and of course online at www.talesfromthepowerage.com. But look, it's been really great memories. It's been good to listen and look at all the stuff that you've got. Gav, thanks for sharing that with us.
Cheers,
Thank you so much to
mate.
Matthews for sending us his thoughts and memories from the album, which leads us to say, look, rest in peace, Tony. You've left some great memories for the rock world. Take care, guys.
Brilliant.
Guys.
Cheers, guys.